Ever since humans were domesticated by grain, their imaginations ran wild. Their favorite places to apply their imagination was finding ingenious ways of unaliving one another. There is no lack of ingenious ways to ensure you triumph over your enemies. The agricultural revolution is what caused humans to settle in one spot rather than travel around. Being settled in one spot meant you wanted to keep your one spot to yourself. This is the advent of walls, as we know. And where there is walls, there is need to get through or over those walls. And thus, the siege weapon is born. From long sticks to nuclear bombs, no idea is too far out of reach of the human imagination to ensure your side has the edge in conflict. War is the playground for imagination when it comes to defeating your enemy, and some of these ideas would prove to be more robust and long-lasting than others. This is where our topic lies. Reject modernity, embrace the catapult, the trebuchet, the slingshot, the siege weapon. Our first subject today comes from around World War I. You guys remember World War I? It's famous for all those new inventions like the machine gun and biological warfare like gas attacks. But some soldiers embraced more tried and true methods. Enter the grenade launcher. No, not that grenade launcher, something a little more simple. This grenade launcher. Another thing World War I is known for is the trench. Soldiers had a lot of free time on their hand, and with free time comes that imagination and coming up with ideas on how to unalive the enemy again. This is where soldiers would scrounge anything they could get their hands on, some springs, some elastics, and use them to supercharge the human ability to throw things. From the comfort of your trench, you can now lob a grenade all the way over to the other trench. This beauty here is the Dutch grenade thrower. While probably not the first time someone thought, how can I fling an explosive further? This beauty is the perfect example of an ancient weapon on the modern battlefield. When it comes to artillery, the original trend was the lobbing trajectory. This was the way to get more range, and you could also circumvent walls and attack the soft city behind them. As gunpowder and cannons became popular, a flat, straight trajectory was more preferred. You wanted accuracy so you could pinpoint a single spot on the wall and keep hitting it over and over until that wall fell down. Coming back to World War I with the advent of the trench, the lobbing trajectory was now back in style. The modern artillery of the time would employ the lobbing trajectory to try to land their projectiles directly into the enemy trench. And this is also what the trench grenade launchers were perfect at. The lobbing trajectory would allow the grenade to potentially land in the enemy trench. The grenade pairs well with many ancient weapons. Also again in World War I, the crossbow would be coupled with the grenade. Now instead of shooting one bolt out of your crossbow shot is now addressed to whom it may concern. This example here, the French sauterelle, whatever, means grasshopper in English. You can see is just a large crossbow using modern elastics to fling a grenade. The angle would give it that lobbing trajectory they were looking for to land in the enemy trench. It's basically the same principle as we saw with the grenade thrower. Despite the ingenious solutions to fling grenades further, these never saw widespread use. Modern artillery was much more efficient. It was more accurate, longer range, higher firepower. That being said though, I think it would be kind of fun to use one of these. You could hide in the safety of your trench and take bets with your boys on who can land the grenade in the enemy trench. Just hope they're not playing the same game on the other side. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that's crazy that such ancient weapons were used so recently. It gets even better. Yes, that is a cell phone recording of a trebuchet being used in modern war. It doesn't get much cooler than that. What is the trebuchet but an old-fashioned mortar with a silencer attached? You're now lobbing projectiles and the enemy doesn't even know it's coming. Also, one of my favorite things about this footage is you can see the guy, when they're ready to shoot, he runs into the other room, probably to look out the window to see where the projectile landed. That way, I'm sure they can make the micro adjustments needed to hone in on their target. In this other footage here, we can see that grenade launcher we talked about in World War I being used in the Ukrainian war.
Праздничный салют. Мар'їнка, 24 серпня. Вона далі не полетить. Бабах.
With modern elastics being so readily available, now anyone can make a grenade thrower at home. Do not make a grenade cata slingshot at home. Trust me, it doesn't end well. Building these siege weapons is exactly my idea of a good time. You know, besides actually being at war. This reminds me of those airsoft videos where people run around with like foam swords or bow and arrows to put themselves at a disadvantage for style points. This is like playing Civilization and you don't have the money to upgrade your troops. You can see the Pharaoh of Egypt, Ramses II, is in the industrial age with his unwalled cities, but I'm still using a trebuchet to lay siege. These ancient weapons being used makes me think of that overused quote by Albert Einstein, where he says, "I know not what weapons World War III will be fought with, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." Well, I agree with the spirit of it, but World War IV will be fought with the trebuchet. I guarantee it. War never changes. Neither does the trebuchet. It's perfect. That concludes our video. And if there's any lesson to learn today, it just goes to show that you never know what knowledge will be useful and when. I'm going to use these examples the next time someone makes fun of me for building siege weapons. And with that being said, siege of the day, and have a good one. The fish.